Hey guys, thanks for watching. This channel is about me getting back to a plant-based lifestyle, and here I talk about my transition and the things that I've learned. As I said, it's the second time I am going plant-based, and today I wanted to talk about why I stopped being plant-based the first time around. I started going plant-based for about 4 years prior to stopping. And the transition was slow, very slow and very steady. So initially I cut out meat, and I think that's a typical way of doing it. Initially I cut out meat, then I believe I cut out cheese and eggs at the same time, but every once in a while I would have eggs, and then usually mixed into something. I remember watching a TED Talk by Mark Bittman, and that kind of got me started and got me thinking. It's a good talk. Take a look at it. Maybe I'll post the link below because I can't remember the name. And just started, as I started becoming more interested, I would start to experiment and cut out more things. And there was a time when I was in law school that I was really trying to streamline, and decided to basically eat all processed foods. This is obviously before my transition. I'm jumping back. I apologize. But maybe one of the triggers for this was how sick I felt after doing all processed foods for about a week. And all of a sudden it hit me. I thought to myself, oh, I've been eating those microwavable meals for about a week and I feel awful. And I think that was maybe the initial trigger to starting a more restrictive diet, and one that was more towards unprocessed foods. So I did that, and then I was so interested. In fact, when I watched Forks Over Knives, I watched like pretty much every film and read every book that I could get my hands on about the lifestyle. My health improved. I just felt like my energy was always steady. It was difficult in terms of going out with friends, but I got to a point where I really felt like no matter where I went, particularly if I was willing to be just a little flexible, not a ton, I was always able to find something in a menu that I would like. And sometimes I would just have, a cup of tea or something. So all of that was going pretty well. However, I had some people that were close to me in my life that really could not accept it. They didn't like the lifestyle. They felt like I was not as fun as they wanted me to be. It's not that I let it affect me, but when the going got hard, it was that voice in the back of my mind saying, yeah, and, if you want to kind of go with the flow, then leaving this lifestyle may be a more social thing to do, a friendlier thing to do, and certainly a more accommodating thing to do. So the trigger for me really leaving the lifestyle of plant-based diet was when I went from being self-employed as an attorney to joining a firm. Now, I want to be very clear. I love the firm. I'm still with them. They're wonderful. I joined not out of necessity, but because I really took to these attorneys and wanted to work with them. And I'm not thinking of leaving, so I enjoy my work. So however, as part of the law firm has been there for 85 years. And for 85 years, the senior attorneys take all of the attorneys at the firm to lunch every single day. Now, we live in the South, and there are about 3 places, and we rotate. And the places are called, it's kind of a Southern thing, they're called Meat and Threes. And basically you get main, which is going to be some type of meat, and in the South it's usually something barbecued, and 3 sides. And let me tell you that even if you get a vegetable side, if you get collard greens, it's cooked in butter and with bacon and etc. Now, that created a real challenge for me, because particularly as the new person in the firm, I really wanted to be accommodating, and I didn't want to be asocial. I didn't want to seem ungrateful. And I wanted to use those lunches for what they often are used, which is an opportunity to mine the minds of the senior attorneys for this really helpful information that would make me a better attorney in turn. So I tried for months to go and sidestep the ordering process, but the places we were going to really just weren't accommodating to eating in this lifestyle. And then I told myself, you know what, I'm going to allow myself to have vegetables so long as they have, to allow myself to have vegetables, even if they do have some animal products in them, because that's just the compromise I was making then. Of course, with standard American diet foods, such as animal products, they really work the pleasure centers in the brain, and and basically it was like a doorway drug in a sense. I started having these vegetables with some animal products, and then a week later I had some grilled fish, and several weeks later I was having a burger. And so and initially that also expanded from just being plant-based in every other meal except for lunch to being standard American diet in pretty much all my meals. And that's where I was when I decided to come back to the lifestyle. As I did transition, one thing is, as I did transition from just having the standard American diet for lunch and having it for the rest of the time, that's when those voices came in, the voices in the back of my mind saying, you're really not being very friendly when you eat this way, or you're really being very high maintenance. And also the factor that made a difference was I work from 8 to 7 p.m., 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. So it's so I would get home, and the last thing I would want to do is cook, and I told myself that means that I had to stick to the processed foods and the stuff that I could order from a to-go menu. And so that's how I wound up where I am. It was not an intentional or a volitional move away from being plant-based. I have felt my energy levels plummet, or becoming more akin to what they used to be like, and really it's affected my mood and the way I view myself. So at this point, that is what happened. That's why I stopped being plant-based, and how. Let me know if you've struggled with this before, and if you have any other questions that I might be able to answer, but I'm not a nutritionist or a doctor. I am just a person who is now plant-based again. So thank you for watching.